And welcome back to Two Wheels. We're talking the controversial sprint race in Jerez, Spain. Should Marc Marquez have won the race at all? In short, what happened? Well, let me show you what happened. This basically was Marc Marquez. He ends up going off at the last corner in Jerez. Okay, really bad. It is raining. It happened and loads of people went off. To be fair, it was a really crazy sprint race, which, let's be fair, was very much worth watching. But anyway, Marc Marquez, he went down. He gets up and then he decides, I mean, it's sadly they're showing the crowd, to then cross the track, albeit, yes, it was safe. And at this point, he's already passed the pit lane. And he then decided on the off the track and then go into the pit lane. It wasn't really the entrance to the pit lane, but apparently the pit lane entrance doesn't make any common sense, and we'll get into that in a bit. But there we go, and then goes pits. Ends up winning the race because other people fell around him. Now the argument making is, should Marc Marquez have gone into the pits? That's the thing we are going to be talking about today. And it's interesting that Mr. Zarco, Johann Zarco, he said he shouldn't win, and I completely agree with this here. I'm just throwing it out there, but we'll talk about it. Zarco said he shouldn't win because when he crashed out at the final corner, he had already decided not to pit. It means he has gone backwards, and you can't go backwards on a racetrack. If he doesn't get a penalty, that's frankly very strange. And in the end, as we know, he absolutely did not get a penalty. Someone's put this: if you miss the exit, take the next exit. Comparing this to Marc Marquez's race, he missed the exit, and now he's very much reversing down the exit, which I thought was really hilarious. I thought that was very funny. Do not reverse or go to the wrong side, comparing that to Marc Marquez, which was absolutely brilliant. I mean, here we go. This is a very good picture of it. Marc Marquez goes off there. The pit lane entry is here. He's missed it. He's already decided. He's already decided he's not going to pit. Okay, we've got you. It comes off and he goes across the track. Initially, almost, you can even make an argument he's going against the flow of traffic, although there's no traffic at the time, and then comes in. It's just a bit strange, and that's obviously the pit lane here. Don't know why the marker goes out all the way far there, but I thought this is an absolutely brilliant analogy of it. Moving on, this is from ESPN Moto GP. The word from the authorities was why there was no penalty for Marc Marquez. And they gave a detailed explanation, sadly in Spanish, so we can't use that exactly. But lots of MotoGP fans saying they still want clarification. Controversial pit entry during the race. This is Rule 118.17 concerning flag-to-flag bike swaps. The rider must enter the pit lane, crossing the designated pit lane entry point with their machine to make the exchange. He did cross the timing point. Yeah, but it's a lot. I mean, the issue is, and this is why it's so controversial, I think it's a lot more nuanced. I mean, the rules currently in place for MotoGP didn't really think there was going to be a scenario like this, and Marc Marquez has created it. To be fair, it was 2020 thinking from Marquez, but still. And you go, the spare machine may. This is the rule they're referring to. The spare machine may be inside the pit box, whether or not it has been used in the race, but any exchange of machine must be made in the pit lane. The rider must enter the pit lane, crossing the designated pit lane entry timing point with their machine to the exchange. Yeah, okay. And they did cross the pit entry. They did cross that, but they didn't use they didn't really use the pit lane thing. Someone's also put this: it is not permitted to ride motorcycles within the circuit other than in the pit lane, service road, or on the track. And let's be fair, going back to this again, he wasn't on the track, was he? No. And as Mr. Johann Zarco said, he shouldn't win because when he crashed at the final corner, he had already decided not to pit. And I think that's absolutely key as to why he should have got a penalty and probably shouldn't have won the race. It means he's gone backwards, and you can't go backwards on a racetrack. If he doesn't get a penalty, that's frankly very strange. He didn't get a penalty in the end, did he? At all. Which is equally, I think kind of frustrated, but there we go. Thanks for the clarification. Some folks needed it. This is in support of Marc Marquez. Marquez entered the pit lane according to the published definition of crossing the pit lane entry timing point, which is the entrance to the pit lane where the 60km signs are displayed. Yes, it is the. I mean, this is it. It seems like they're making the rules up. That is the entrance to the pit lane. I mean, that is where the pit lane starts, but that's the entrance. He didn't go in the entrance. I mean, I know you're talking about timing points and stuff, but it's ridiculous. It says there's no specific rule that riders must enter the pit lane from a specific place. Okay, but then if that is the case, where do you end? I mean, like, you go here and you think, you know what, I'm going to just cross there and into the pit lane. No, it doesn't work like that, does it? It's absolutely ridiculous. So let's continue on to the next page. Marquez likewise didn't disobey any marshal instructions, didn't cause any danger. This is true. When he crossed the racetrack, he waited for it to be clear. Again true. And he did not shortcut significant portions of the track, thereby gaining an advantage. Yes, he did. He shortcutted. I mean, he did. He shortcutted across the track to get to the pit lane where he missed. He went off the track and, in my opinion, gained an advantage. We're going to get into that in a bit as well. Which is just really, really weird. I mean, I've done, what is it? If we go here, home. I've even like done some kind of like I've even managed to do some kind of like infographic. Marc Marquez, no penalty in the ref, but should he have had one? Well, maybe. Here we go. It is nuanced, yeah. And I was trying to look at the rules, and I can understand why he didn't get one, but I still think he got one. As we know, Marquez, he did he cheat? I think he did. He crossed the track, he ignored the pit entry, and he still won, but didn't get that penalty. Now, breaking it down, Marquez crashes after that final corner. He misses the pit entry, which, by the way, is before the final corner where he crashed. He gets up, waits for the riders to go past, and basically he's like, yeah, I'm just going to go this way. He crosses the track, rides over the grass and enters the pit lane for a completely unusual angle, which, let's be fair, is not... I'm just going to let this run. It's not exactly textbook, is it? No. It really, really isn't. So moving on from that, this all comes down to one key rule from the FIM, the Federation International de Motorcycles. Riders must stay within track limits, and if they leave the track, they must rejoin safely and without gaining any advantage. 2 key points here. Rejoining safely, don't gain an advantage. Why wasn't he penalised? Well, first, yes, he rejoined safely. Okay, fact. He actually waited for the pack to go through before moving. No dangerous rejoin, no forcing anyone off track. So, on safety alone, he's absolutely clear. Second pit entry rules. And this is where it gets interesting. There's no, sadly, specific rule saying you must enter the pit lane at a fixed point, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can lambast MotoGP rules there, because that needs to be sorted. It sounds mad, but it's true. He also didn't cross the protected line at the pit entry, so technically he didn't break the pit lane rule, which brings us to the big one. And this is the one I think that he should have got the penalty. Did he gain an advantage? The steward said no, which I think is wrong. Their reasoning was he didn't gain position directly on track, he didn't shortcut a battle with another driver, and this advantage came from strategy, not overtaking illegally. So under the current interpretation, no advantage, no penalty. But this is where the debate kicks off, because you can absolutely argue the opposite, which we're doing here. He took a shorter route to the pit lane, fact. He got his bike change done quicker, fact. And ultimately helped him win the race, fact. That is an advantage. And then there's the bigger point. He didn't just run wide, he left the track, crossed it, and rode on the grass. That's not a normal track limits moment. That's kind of creative, but still breaking track limits to get that advantage to get into the pit entry, which he already missed, in my opinion. So even if it's technically legal, it doesn't exactly feel fair. And that's the real truth here. According to the MotoGP rules, it wasn't cheating. He didn't break a rule, he didn't ride dangerously, and he didn't cross a line that's illegal. But what he did do was expose basically this big loophole. It is a grey area, and the stewards, because we get these grey areas, they still could have ruled in what zone, they still could have ruled the fact that he did gain an advantage, but they didn't. Because by the rule, but the way they interpreted it, and this is the big thing, the interpretation, he was fine. So yeah, smart, yes. Legal, apparently, according to the marshals. Fair, no, absolutely not. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did Marc Marquez cheat to win the sprint race? If you made it to the end, give us a like, give us a subscribe. That would be absolutely fantastic. But until then, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.